Welcome to Chefs in the City. I'm Ann Fisher, along with my co-hosts, Steve Stover and Rich Tarapak.
Ann?
We are here to talk about food in its many iterations, from farm to table, be it at home or away. And home cooking always starts at the source, from farmers markets to the North Market to your favorite local grocer or butcher or baker. But wait, what about the wine, right? The headline in the Wine Enthusiast on October 3rd said that tariffs, now resting at 15%, I think, have transformed the wine world as we know it. I don't know if that's over-dramatization or not. We're going to find out. To put this in perspective locally and beyond, we've invited back Patrick Allen. He's an internationally known importer of handcrafted, high-quality wines from artisan estates, primarily in the south of France.
Correct.
You kind of scuffed when I said internationally known.
I don't know about that.
Scuffed.
I suppose
they know you in
they
France.
know me in France. They know me in two countries. So
I
I
know,
guess that counts.
good enough for me.
It's pushing it, but it counts.
You and your wife Connie have researched and tasted wines from hundreds of wineries, ultimately creating a unique portfolio of exceptional wines,
Absolutely.
according to these guys.
Yeah. Absolutely.
you
We have
also-
some in front of us.
Yeah, exactly. You also host regular wine dinners at the Refectory, wine tasting and educational events at Carfagna's, and you're creating a wine program which is kicked off, right, at Columbus State?
Sure, yeah, we've already done several classes there.
At the Columbus State Culinary School. So welcome back, Patrick.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
It's all good news on the tariffs, right?
No.
Okay.
No, it's all bad news
Okay.
for us. I mean, I suppose this is we talked about it earlier in the year,
Yeah, in
and
March,
I guess
yeah.
this is the autopsy after the tariffs have taken effect.
Right.
So the effect of the tariffs, there are some that are anticipated, some that were unanticipated, and essentially, in many ways, it eviscerated our business over the summer. And it's not because, I suppose, if we had acted like nothing had happened, we'd be in a much better position than we are now. But the thing is, it's the uncertainty that killed a lot of our business. So we could not. There were threats of 50 to 200% tariffs on wines. It ended up being 15%, which isn't great, but it's
It's a tariff.
it's a tariff. It's easier to swallow than a 200% tariff that would put us out of business entirely. So we were very conservative in what we ordered because we didn't want to get hit with something or blindsided by a large bill. And in addition to that, we have lots of distributors that buy directly from our wineries as well, and we're the intermediary for those transactions. That business went away because they, like us, were afraid to take the risk of putting wine on a container that may be a different price when it lands. So we have a big hole in our sales right now. We're loaded up with a lot of wine for the holidays this time of year. Right now, we are kind of under the gun. We're trying to get a lot of stuff in. Stuff will be landing in November or December, which is much later than normal.
Right.
So stuff will be going in and coming out. We have the current 15% tariff. One thing that even people in the wine business aren't fully aware of, a lot of people are, but a lot of people aren't, is that during the first Trump administration, and it really didn't have anything to do with the Trump administration, it was something that had been going on for a long time, there was a Boeing-Airbus dispute. And as a result of that Boeing-Airbus dispute, there was a 25% tariff placed on all wines from France, Spain, and Germany that are under 14.5% alcohol. So when Biden took office, he suspended that tariff. So that went away. So there were several months where we were paying a 25% tariff on some wines, which was not fun at all. But he only suspended that tariff for 5 years. So in June of next year, June 15th of 2026, that suspension is set to expire as well. So no one knows.
And that was set, and that endured even through this latest tariff.
Yeah, so there was suspended for 5 years,
Gotcha.
and that
Okay.
had nothing to do with the current tariff of 15%. But nobody knows whether that 25% tariff will come back, whether it will be in addition to the current tariff, whether
Or
it be in
separate.
place of or separate from. We don't know what that's going to be. And given this current administration's love of tariffs, I don't see them resuspending it. So
Right.
we really don't know.
The uncertainty is coming.
The uncertainty is
Yeah.
the big killer, though,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely, because you don't know you don't know how to plan
ahead.
Yeah.
No, and and you can't take the risk of having wines that are 25% more expensive than they were
When you order
them.
right, yeah.
The other thing is, and this is the thing that I think we talked about this last time. It isn't so much the increase in price; it's the order in which things happen. So I order the wine. the wine comes into the States, I have to pay 15% of the value of that wine. If it's 25%, it's even more than my profit margin at that point. So I'm paying all the profit up front, and all the money that I would have used to pay insurance, bills, whatever,
Right.
that goes to the government, and then I'm paid 3 or 4 months later after the wine is sold. So we're taking a really hard look at our business model to figure out a way to make things or make changes to make things work the way they are.
Do you talk among yourselves in among your ilk? I mean, the people that are sort of in the same place you are and doing the same sort of thing you are. Do you talk to each other?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know people, lots of different distributors.
Yeah.
The wine business is a fairly small inbred
That's
community.
what I figured, yeah.
So everybody knows each other. And, a lot of it depends on the size of the company. If you have a larger company, you're better positioned to deal with the adversity of the market. A smaller company like me, just me, myself, and my wife, we can't maneuver the way a large company can. We have to be a little bit more conservative with what we do, just because
The risk is.
You don't have the flexibility.
we don't have the flexibility.
So yeah, so you bring something special to with what you do. You
Sure.
tap different wineries that maybe the big guys don't because
exactly.
they don't get the economies of scale with them, or they can't get enough.
Yeah, sure. We bring in stuff that you wouldn't normally. It's stuff that we're in Ohio. We sell our wines in Ohio. A lot of the wines that we import wouldn't normally make it to Ohio.
And
They're
what
too
I
small.
think you're famous for is finding these little wineries, and then they show up in, like Domaine de la Biscarelle,
Sure.
little mom and pop place shows up featured in Wine Spectator.
Yeah.
Thanks to Patrick.
No, there are lots of great small family-owned wineries that kind of deserve a little bit more attention than they get, but they're not equipped, just like we're not equipped to deal with the larger market and the adversities that exist right now. They're busy in their vineyards doing the work that it takes to make these interesting wines, and they're not they're not internet savvy. They're not marketing. They don't have a marketing department. These are small family-owned wineries, but it's authentic. It's the real deal.
Right.
And I just got back from France about a week ago, and I was at a big food and wine fair, actually a small food and wine fair, but it was very interesting. And I met this guy who he works with small farmers around the village of Uzès in the south of France, and he takes groups of people to visit like a chickpea farmer that they're making their own hummus, and they're doing everything from A to Z,
yeah.
or goat farmers or different things like that. And he's like, what he's finding is that authenticity is the new luxury. I mean, everybody, on the internet, there's like Instagram pictures of like the waterfall you have to see or the hotel you have to go to. But what people really crave is authentic, handcrafted products from a real place made by real people. And that's kind of what we do. We work with these small wineries that are really from the place, and they're really made by the person that you see on the label.
What the wine enthusiast in that same article that I quoted at the outset, it said that the damage has been done for all the stakeholders. That the damage that has been done for all the stakeholders is the trust factor between producers, importers, and the federal government. That it's all eroded.
All those relationships are.
What's your sense about how understanding or sympathetic? Or, I mean, they've got to make a buck over in France too.
Sure.
I mean,
Well,
they got to make a living.
We deal with families, and that's one of the things that's probably the unanticipated part of our business is that it's not just buying wine. I've known these people for over 20 years now. I know their children are now making wine. They're friends.
Yeah.
And so there's a trust with that. So people understand that things are more complicated, and a lot of these wounds are self-inflicted. It's not anything that I've done. It's something that our country's done to itself. So they try to make allowances and try to help, maybe giving us slight discounts or longer terms or whatever they can do. But it's not that they don't understand. It's also that they're small family wineries, so they depend on this money to pay their bills as well.
Right.
And one of the things in addition to the tariffs, there's also global trends in wine. The consumption is down in Europe and in the U.S., and that really is more like grocery store bulk wines. That's where the biggest dip is. Those bulk sales have gone away. People that buy the types of wines that we import generally know why they're buying those wines, and that's probably a good thing for us. But as a global global consumption declines, a lot of the wine regions depend on that big bulk sales to move out the oceans of wine that exist out there. So a lot of the producers we work with, not all of them, but a number of the producers we work with, if you bottle a wine, you have to grow the grapes, produce the wine, buy the bottles, buy the corks, buy the labels. It takes a year before it gets into bottling, and even longer before you get paid. So it's a long process from the grape to actually getting money in your bank account.
Yeah.
So what a lot of producers do is they will bottle maybe half their production or a little bit more than half their production, and then they sell off part of their grapes or their juice or whatever to these big cooperatives that then that pay them for it more quickly.
Money in the bank.
Yeah.
Except it isn't anymore, and that's the problem because global consumption has dropped, especially in supermarkets and that kind of stuff. The cooperative, like this summer when I was in France, I was talking to a number of producers that do sell, or even friends that sell to these big cooperatives and negociants, and they said that the problem right now is the harvest was approaching, for the 2025 harvest was approaching. They still had their tanks full from the 2024 harvest. They didn't have space to even bring in, because there were wines that were sold on paper to the big chain stores, but they were never picked up or paid for. So there are some old cooperatives that have gone out of business. These large cooperatives that buy up all this wine were reopening the defunct cooperatives just to be able to use the tanks to move the 2024 vintage out and to make room for the 2025 vintage coming in.
Wow. The repercussions are incredible.
Yeah. So it's a complicated thing. So whether one of the I was actually with this producer, we went out to lunch this summer. Yves Falmet, he's originally from Champagne, and we were in lunch, having lunch at a little bistro along the side of the road in the vineyards, and there was a tractor that drove by, and he said, "That's the only guy in the region that's making money right now." And I said, "Who is he?" And he said, "That's the guy that rips out the vines."
Oh my gosh!
So he had this huge tractor with a plow that just rips out vines, and he's
because it's not worth it to even keep the vines in.
People they'll pay people to rip out vines. The government will pay people to rip out vines to lower production.
Is it down that much?
Yeah, I mean they're ripping out thousands of hectares of vines in France right now. So the sad thing is quite often, not always, but quite often, the harder vineyards to farm that are least productive, but also the best quality, are the first to be ripped out, because and those if you have 80-year-old vines, you can't just plant 80-year-old vines. You have to wait 80 more years for those to come back.
Why can't they just leave the vines in and use them? Because it's not good for them, or
it's a matter of the cost to be able to have to maintain them, and the government wants less production, so they'll pay you so many €1,000 per hectare that you rip out. So the people that own these vineyards, they make the calculation. Well, I could either have so many thousands of euros, or I'll pay taxes and et cetera on this land.
Are they growing other things when they rip these things out? Is there farming that's done? Or
not necessarily. I mean, a lot of there may be some of that, but a lot of times where vineyards, so they say where the place you plant olive trees and vineyards is where nothing else will grow.
Right.
So it's extremely rocky, hard soil, very dry.
Yeah.
You really want the vines to be stressed, and that's kind of makes winemaking kind of the opposite of all agriculture. Whereas here in Ohio, you want very fertile soil for soybeans and corn. If you plant vineyards on that very fertile soil, you'll have grapes that are too big, too full of water, too dilute, and they won't make interesting wines. You really want the best vineyards are the opposite of all other agriculture. You want hillside vineyards where the water runs out, very rocky vineyards where the vines are stressed. You have small berries and concentrated flavors.
I remember going to Châteauneuf-du-Pape the first time. Saying, how do they grow with all these rocks around?
I know. So Châteauneuf-du-Pape, they have what are called galets roulés, these softball-sized cobblestones.
Yeah.
And it's 6 feet deep of just cobblestones. To plant it, I don't even know how you consider it. Just to walk through the vineyards is difficult. And the farmers I know that work in Châteauneuf-du-Pape, if they use a plow, the steel plow will be shredded with 1 year. They have to change them every year because the stones rip apart these steel plows.
Wow.
I was at a vineyard or in a town in south of France. Can't remember anything. I'm not you guys. But they were talking about they would pave the streets, and that the English got all their wine from France. They'd come over and they'd weight down their ships with all these cobblestones, and then they'd bring them back and they'd throw a bunch of them in the vineyards, and then they'd also pave their streets with them because they would take it back the wine with
For
them
ballast.
and would wait for ballast. Exactly. Yeah. Does this mean anything for the average consumer? I'm not seeing the prices change that much.
Sure. So a lot of what we're seeing, there are price increases, but it's a slower process than there's a tariff, then there's a price increase. So a lot of people, when they saw the writing on the wall that there would be tariffs, laid in a lot of inventory. So there's a lot of people that
This was over.
Yeah. Well, not consumers, but actual importers. A lot of people that bought as much wine as they could pre-tariff. Then the other thing that happened is because there was uncertainty, people weren't sure what to pass on. So a lot of people ate the tariff for a shorter amount of time.
Okay.
Now you can't do that anymore. People know what it is. It's got to be passed on the price. You can't take 15% of your profit margin and just give it away. So the other thing for European wines is that the dollar is also weak. So the dollar is down 10 to 15%. So you got a 10 to 15% change in the exchange rate plus a 15% tariff. So you've got about a 25 to 30% price increase from the supplier that's supplying wholesalers and restaurants.
Okay.
So there will be a slight increase, and the impact on the average consumer isn't going to be that significant. If you're buying a $10 bottle of wine, 25 cents more isn't a huge thing.
Right.
So at the low end, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. At the high end, if you're buying a $100 bottle of wine, someone who's buying $100 bottles of wine for dinner, 125 isn't that much of a stretch either. It's a lot of the wines in the middle that are going to change from like 18 to 25, 29 to 35. Those are the ones that I think are going to have the greatest impact because they're changing, the what part of the market they would sell to. But at the low end, I don't think it's a huge impact. At the high end, probably less of an impact as well. It's the wines in the middle that it's going to be a resorting out of what sells and what doesn't.
Is there any organization of the distributors that can, sort of like pharma does for drugs, that can really put pressure on
Lobby.
There is a wine lobby, and they have been lobbying the government about tariffs and trying to get the ear of the government.
Yeah.
And they're very vocal and very active, but it really doesn't seem to. I mean, it seems like this administration is going to do what they want, regardless of what people say. But there is an active wine lobby, people that are really trying to get the word out about how the tariffs are impacting the industry as a whole. But like I said, I think it's mostly falling on deaf ears.
Is wine part of sort of like a group of things that people consume that kind of there's sort of a luxury type of thing? Thinking of other cheeses from France, other things like that
Sure, it's
are kind of suffering in a parallel way.
I mean, the first, like I was talking about, those first round of tariffs was specific to wine and a bunch of other things. I think Scotch was included. And
Okay,
some other
that's
things.
right.
Now it's just a blanket tariff, so it's on essentially everything. So everything's impacted. It's going to be. I think the effects of it are going to be subtle, but it's really going to affect almost every aspect of what we consume. And I think it's going to be a cumulative, slow, maybe death by a thousand cuts. That you might not notice that your $15 bottle of wine is $16 now, but if all of your grocery bills for all the different things you're getting, that adds up to something more significant than just
And
one
people
little.
are noticing.
it'll have
People are
an impact
noticing.
on inflation, which is something that the administration wants to avoid at all costs.
Sure.
It's nuts.
Yeah, no, and it's one of the things as you can tell, I think a lot about food and wine, and one of the things that I think about a lot about is the way we consume food and the way and wine as well. I don't like to be pretentious about it. I like things. It's all about fun and enjoyment and that kind of stuff. But I think people should pay a little bit more attention to what they eat. And I know people that say you have to buy all organic and all local, and everything has to be from a small farm, and that's not practical even for me, for most people. But I've got a philosophy of 5%. If you just spent 5% of your time or energy on just finding a small producer that you could buy like some fruit from, or a local loaf of bread, 1 out of 20 times you went shopping, if everybody did that, it would have an enormous impact. And now it's only a small percentage of people that are really paying attention to those
That's
things.
what I spent, farm markets in the summer.
Sure.
Local, trying to find local
Well, the
meats.
way you shop, I mean, you just gallop all over the town, depending on what you're doing, which is wonderful. But that's an interesting, it kind of reminds me of people who fund public media.
But part of the thing is, if you try to do everything, you quite often don't end up doing anything. And you think to yourself, what's the minimum I could do? And if the minimum you do is just like, buy once a month something from a local producer, that would have cumulatively a huge impact on helping these small farms and these small growers do what they do. I think there's important things to save, and how you do that. Trying to jam it down someone's throat, saying you can only eat these kinds of foods. I don't think that's a good thing. I think there's room for everybody, but trying something every once in a while, I think, is a good thing. And if the more people that do that, the better.
Yeah. Is the consumption also down in Asia?
No, but one of the things, and this is a conversation I had with lots of growers in France this year, because the Chinese market is essentially dead for the French right now.
Really?
Completely. And it's not because China isn't consuming wine, it's because they're making wine. And someone told me this, and I've not looked it up to verify to see if it's true. But I was told that they have almost the same surface area of vineyards as France right now. Wow. I don't know if that's true or not.
No
but
idea.
They're producing.
They got a lot of land.
They've got a lot of land, and they're producing a lot of wine. So now a lot of the Chinese consumption is actually Chinese wine.
Wow. Because for a while, China was supporting the French market.
Yeah, on the high end, the Chateau Margaux and those kinds of things, that's still being imported, but the huge consumption of French bulk wines has gone away.
Wow.
I remember years ago that there was a cooperative program between Napa Winery and a Chinese winery.
Yeah, no, there are lots of different, lots of French companies over in China making wine. It's
I know it's not your stock and trade, but what does all of this do to the domestic production of wine
in the U.S.?
Yeah.
The domestic production is we talked to a lot of people, is largely unaffected by this.
Yeah.
They're selling wine. They have their own problems. They're ripping out vineyards in California as well.
Because of
consumption
the
is down
consumption issue.
overall.
Exactly. So a lot of the bulk wine consumption is going down, but the price points and the styles of wine are not necessarily directly competitive with French or European wines. So they're not really filling the gap necessarily. They might be selling a little bit more wine of certain things, but they're not necessarily filling the gap that European wines provided, especially for restaurants by the glass and that kind of stuff.
You started a wine education program at Columbus State, so I'm kind of wondering how, what that's telling you about interest in the topic.
It's I find it interesting because it's there's definitely a thirst for knowledge about wine. People, the more you talk about it in a fun way, not just like the chemical composition of the wine and getting into all the nuts and bolts. You can do that, but I think people, when you show them something that's made by a real producer and you tell them about why it tastes the way it does, there's a real interest and a thirst for that. And I noticed that even more surprisingly for me, as younger people, like
A new generation.
the millennials and Gen Zs, the people that think you won't be interested unless there's some sort of cartoon label or something like that has to be tailored to them. But once I start talking about why it is the way it is, people are fascinated, and it's a matter of getting to those people and getting the information out to them. Just once you're able to get past that barrier, getting into to talk to these people, people are fascinated by it.
Well, with your business, practically every one of the wineries has a story.
Sure, and that's
Yeah.
the,
There's
that's the
a
interesting
person
thing.
and a
it was-
story. That's what's so attractive to.
And wine,
Patrick's work.
at its basis, wine has all the things that you need for something interesting. It's got
Yeah.
history, it's got agriculture, it's got terroir, it's got the people behind the wines, it's got great stories. There's so much there. There's the geology and the geography and the beautiful places. I mean, vineyards, vineyard regions are some of the most beautiful areas in the world to visit. If you go to the south of France, you can spend a lifetime just driving the back roads.
And you can get
Yeah.
past, or I feel like a lot of people have gotten past the whole snobbery.
Yeah,
of
and,
it.
and that's not what it
you
should be
know,
about.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a judgmental thing. And the thing is, when you're talking about wine, nobody knows everything. I know master sommeliers. I know some of the best sommeliers in the world. And what's interesting is there's always something new to learn.
Yeah.
And that's the fun part. Nobody knows everything. And anybody that makes you feel bad about not knowing something shouldn't be telling you about wine. It should be about just enjoyment and learning as much as you can.
You host a lot of regular wine tastings and dinners at Columbus State, and I'm just wondering how the tariffs, the costs, and all that kind of stuff play out when it comes to that and doling it out in that way.
I mean, at that point, it hasn't had an impact
Okay.
yet, and I don't think it will have a direct impact because
Can
we
you
can
talk
adjust the
about
wines.
some of the things
Yeah.
the wine program?
Sure. So tomorrow night we're doing a class at Columbus State where it's going to be wines from the Northern Rhone. It's a very small, specific area of the Rhone Valley that produces some of the best Syrah and Viognier in the world. So we're going to do a class on that. And then in November, this is November of 2025, we're doing a class on red Zinfandel. American red, for me, it's the great American grape. So we're going to taste a lot of different red Zinfandels from different places and different producers, just to give you an idea of what that grape variety can do. It's just those are just fun things. So that will be in November 21st, a Friday, November 21st. And the great thing about Columbus State is the first time I went there, I asked them what wine classes they're doing, and they said, we're really not doing any wine classes.
Oh,
and
wide open, yeah.
So they've let me do whatever I want. So I've done dinners. They have a fantastic, beautiful restaurant, and they're amazing chefs that will prepare anything we want. So we've done dinners and classes. It's just I'm like kind of a kid in a candy store. So any idea that I come up with so far, they've let me do.
What's the class size?
So for the class, the wine classes, the maximum is 30. That's all we can fit in the room.
Make your reservation early.
Exactly. And then for the dinners, I think we can do 40 to 60, might be pushing it, but
Yeah.
40
In the
to
dining
60
room
in the
at the
dining room.
restaurant, yeah.
Exactly.
Degrees. The rest of it.
Degrees.
yeah.
And it's a beautiful space.
It is.
I've been to wine and cooking schools all over the country, and I think this is probably one of the most beautiful facilities I know. I mean, we're very lucky
It
to
is.
have
It's
it in
fantastic.
Columbus. And speaking of wine,
Another
we
thing
we should taste the
Cameron.
wine.
Okay. Then there's also a wine room upstairs, or it was originally a cocktail room.
The mixology lab.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mixology.
Yeah, so it was set up. I mean, I don't know of any tasting facility that is as nice as this in Columbus. It's got floor to ceiling windows looking out on downtown Columbus, and then they have high top tables that are all set up each with 6 chairs. But in the table,
Lighting.
there's a grid there for placing glasses.
Oh,
and
nice.
then you flip a switch and it's all underlit.
Oh,
you
neat.
get
So
to
cool.
see the.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely amazing. It's probably one of the best spaces I've had for tastings anywhere.
So what are you opening up right now?
So right now, I thought I picked a couple wines that I thought would be fun for fall and Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So this is a tiny producer in an area of the south of France called Saint-Chinian. And he's originally from Champagne, and we import his family champagne as well. It's Domaine de Terre Falmey, and Yves Falmey is the producer. May I?
Yes.
And this is a grape variety that is considered inferior by the French government, and it wasn't even allowed in his appellation until recently, and it's pure Cinsault. So Cinsault is the grape variety, and Cinsault is a blending grape that they use in the south of France to soften bigger grape varieties like Syrah and Grenache that are much more muscular and tannic.
GSM, Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre.
Exactly.
But a lot of them have a little bit of Cinsault too.
Yes, exactly, to soften them up. Well,
Cheers,
Thanks
my man.
for
Cheers.
having me.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining us.
And this is my Thanksgiving wine every year. And the reason this is my Thanksgiving wine is Senso is one of the rare grape varieties that has very, very soft tannins, but it also has spice to it. So it's a little spicy, a little peppery spice to it, but soft. And usually when people recommend things for Thanksgiving, they recommend a Beaujolais or a Pinot Noir, something lighter like that.
Yeah.
This is soft, but it's spicy. So what I love about it is it's soft enough to go with turkey, but it also has that spice that goes with the stuffing and all the autumn fall spices.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the sausage stuffing kind of thing.
Yeah.
Send me in, Coach.
All right.
Wonderful.
Beautiful. What a treat.
Yeah, I know.
Don't
Gotta
try
get
this
it.
at home, folks. Well,
Go ahead.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
We're out of
Drink
time.
wine.
All right. Well, this is a good way to end that.
This is a great way to end. I'm super happy right now. And I want to say thanks for listening. It's it for Chefs in the City this time. Thanks to wine importer Patrick Allen for joining us again and catching us up on the not so happy news about tariffs. But and thanks to my co-hosts Steve Stover and Rich Tirapak as well, as always.
Well, thank you, Ann.
Cheers.
Guys, couldn't do it without you. So remember, a meal is best shared, and a bottle of wine. So share this with your friends and family who love the art of eating. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts. You can see us on YouTube, though, drinking our wine today, if you'd like, if you want to go that.
Tough duty.
Yeah, tough duty. Someone's got to do it. That's right. Right, so here we are. And thanks for joining us this time. Take care.
Cheers.
Cheers.